All right, hello everybody, and welcome to our weekly ProcessMaker stream, live stream. And today I've got with me a very special guest. I'll let him introduce himself in a moment. So just to introduce myself, though, in case this is your first time tuning in, my name is Ethan Pressberg. I work on the engineering side at ProcessMaker, and Manuel here will introduce himself as well. He's also on our engineering team, and today we're going to be showing you some new features, specifically the process template feature that we have released with our summer release. And for those that may not know, we have changed the way we think about our releases. We're not thinking about them as ProcessMaker 2, ProcessMaker 3, ProcessMaker 4 anymore. We're starting to think about them more simply as the summer release, which is the next coming release, or the past release, which was the spring release. So with the spring release, we have the ability now to utilize a concept called process templates. What are process templates? That's a great question, Ethan. And soon, Manuel is going to hopefully show us what exactly we mean by that. So, first, I just want to remind anybody watching this: this is weekly. Sometimes 2:30. We're trying to see about 2:30 Eastern. And if you like the content or want to learn more about new features as we're releasing them, then I highly advise hitting the subscribe button, the like button, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you're on YouTube, we're also live streaming this now directly to LinkedIn Live. I'm not entirely sure if it's working yet, but this is the first time, so we'll see how it goes. So with that out of the way, I will hand it over to Manuel to introduce himself and to get started.
Perfect. Thank you, Ethan. Can you hear me well?
Yep, we can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. Nice to be here. My name is Manuel Navarro. I am part of the Process Maker team for about
This is the first
five
time, so we'll
years.
see how it goes. So
I have
with
been
that,
working
out
with Process Maker in different roles, right? When I first start, we went through a small project that right now it's the latest version of the platform. That's what we call the process maker version 4. So I've been here for a few histories, for a few versions. In the product side right now, we are working next to it in something that we call adoption, right? So what is this about? This is all related for you guys, users, developers, and everyone in our community to start using our platform, and definitely to leverage all the different knowledge and all the years in experience that we have had, for you to get into the platform and to get the value as soon as possible. And right now we have this nice feature, as you mentioned before, Ethan, the template feature, which today we're going to present. Basically, this is a feature that allows you to create your own best practices, create your own processes, and get some best practices as well from different processes in your company, directly from our experts. So, what does that mean? If you have already a process that you want to share with your different users, you can create it as a template. You can say, for example, a leave of absence or an expense request that was successful for you right now in the platform, and you want to share with across the organization, so you can use it. You can convert those processes into a template, and as well you can jump in our gallery from templates that are basically well curated processes that are well known in different areas and in different businesses, and you can download it and you can start using it from the scratch, right? So from the version that it's already done there. So it's a really interesting feature that you can leverage when you are completely new into the platform, and if you have some time with the platform, definitely you can create your own. So let's give it a try. Let's walk around on this. So I think I'm sharing my screen, but I can't see it.
Yeah, you're live. You're sharing your screen now.
Yeah, perfect, great. So for those who doesn't know our platform, this is the designer view. This is the designer. This is the designer tab, and previous releases from the spring release we have had 2 weeks ago had just here a tab that is called processes. Now we have another tab that is templates. Here's where we store, and here's where we are going to manage the different templates that you're going to have within our organization. So new installations of Process Maker are going to come with 4 basic processes, with 4 basic templates. So you can just click here in processes and they are going to show up directly into your screen, right? So you can download and you can install more templates, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But so far, you can select one of those processes that are already pre-installed. For example, let's add this expense approval process, and I can use it as a template, right? Look at this one. I can zoom in and I can review what is this about. I have some description of it, and I can click it and I can say use it as a template, right? So I can select a category and definitely a process manager who's going to be a user responsible of many actions such as escalations, such as reassigning tasks, and so on. So I'm going to click on save and look at this one. From the very beginning of using of the platform, I can have a process ready to rock and roll, right? So here I have one of our favorite elements. That is what we call a web entry. This is one of the elements we use in order to start the process. This is basically a form that is accessible through a URL. So this is ready to go and ready to start capturing information. Let's have a look on this screen as well. I'm just gonna click on this. I'm gonna open the screen. And here I have our basic screen, right? First name, last name, personal email form, a capture slip, simple picture for this, right? I can click on preview. Look at this one. This screen is already there. And I can start configuring it as I require. For example, right now I just want to change this image. I don't want to use this specific image. I want to change it for the logo of my company, right? So I can just remove it, and I can add, for example, here I have um here I have sorry, here I have a file, an image section, right? Here I can upload whatever the image I would like, right? I'm going to load this image. I can change, right? And this is start looking at my own process, right? With my own logos, I can add more information if required. For example, I'm gonna need additionally to this, I'm gonna require, let's get a new line input. I'm gonna say I'm gonna need area, right? Right? Area.
While we're on
Done.
here, I'll mention that we do have in our summer release, we're planning to release a. I don't want to give too much away to build anticipation, but we're building capabilities to be able to uh, significantly enhance the form builder with a lot more controls. We're looking at the view bootstrap control list and potentially being able to import modules from there directly into the form builder without having to develop any custom code. So that is going to be a really cool live stream, and I'm excited to talk about it when the time comes. Just wanted to put that plug in there.
Perfect. Let's have a look how it's looking this, right? So right now I'm gonna see this is the process I create based on the template, and I'm gonna have a look on the URL that generate this process to start this expense approval. So I'm just gonna click on this, I'm gonna open it, And look at this one. This start having my logo, my data, right? So from a basic process, I can start having something that is already tested, proven, and that might work for my purposes, right? This is just an example of those templates that we have already within the application. But what if I just don't want to use an expense approval? Maybe this is one of those basic processes that that are already in the template tab. But what if I want to have a look on more processes? Here in the web page, in the main web page of ProcessMaker, you're going to find under resources a template gallery, right? So let me show you how it works, these templates. If you want to go for more of these ones, here you have different options. Look at this one. Here we have an out loan request, a committee approval. Maybe I am more on the banking or the financial side, so I may want a debit card application, right? Look at the expense approval we just saw before. This is the expense approval already in there, right? Here I have an employee offboarding. There are many options that I have, right? Let's have a look on this one. For example, let's take this one, the new hire onboarding, right? So let's pick one of these ones, the new hire onboarding. The only
So
thing you have to
Manuel,
do,
this where we go if if somebody wants to get an actual template.
exactly,
And what
exactly.
if
If you
they
want to get
have?
an actual template,
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I was gonna say, what if like they want to create their own template? Is that something they can do?
yes, they can do it. They can do it. For example, in this process, if you want to, from the process we just create, right? This is the invoice approval. Here we have it. Just give me a second. Oh no, this is sorry for that. Where we are. This is the process we were before. This is our expense approval expense. Here we have it. This is the expense approval, the process that we have just created, right? Based on the template. Just as a reminder, right? Then what if I want to have this one as well as a template, right? So this is the one that we have just created based on a template. Let's confirm this one. It should have my screen with the new logo, with a new field, right? So this is a different process. This was based on a template, right? What if I want to create this expense approval as my new template on my organization, right? So I can go here in the process list and I look for the expense, right? This is the expense approval. And there I have an option that is called save as a template, right? So any process that you have in ProcessMaker can be a template, right? The example we just showed was how to go from a template to a process, right? In process, so we create this expense approval, right? We change the example we just showed was how to go from we add a log on top process, right? Now that you are asking how we can create that new process as a template, right? So that process as a template is just as simple as searching for it, click on the options in front of the process and save it as a template, right? Now we can give it a name, expense approval, branded, right? So this is our branded expense approval that we want to use. I can add simple decision and with new fields. Can add here a category, accounting and finance, and I'm gonna save all assets as a template. Look at this one. Here you have two options. You can save just the model, right? So, and this is common in organizations that has discipline in processes. You usually start for having just the diagram of the process, and then you go into the different sections of what is going to happen in each step. So you can start from just the process model, but here in Process Maker, as we have and as we provide different elements of automations, such as the screen builder, the scripts, and all the different rules that are around the workflow, So you may want to have and may want to save all the different assets that are related to process. I'm just gonna save it and I'm just gonna publish it, right? I'm gonna click on publish. And then if you click on templates, right? If you go on templates, um, and you look for the process, it should be here in the recently created. Look at this one. This is the expense approval branded, created just a few minutes ago for accounting and finance, right? And then you can reuse it. The why this is useful, because for sure using ProcessMaker for some time you're going to have many processes that many areas in the organization may want to use, and as well different actions that may be repeatable within the organization are available for you to create as a template that anyone can reuse it as well. And for us as well as ProcessMaker, we will hand over to you new processes and new knowledge through these templates. Is that answered that question, Ethan?
Yeah, that was perfect. Thank you, Manuel.
Perfect. Great. Great. I was wondering to go on a different process to create a template, but let's jump into this part, which is how you can look for more templates, right? So here in resources, click on resources, right? And you're gonna find here a template gallery. And within the template gallery, you're gonna find many processes. Right now we have 20 processes, but we're gonna launch a few more by the next month. So this is gonna be updated in some cadences, right? So, but definitely you can look for any kind of processing here. Let's go for something as this one, as a quote request. This is very interesting, but because this is kind of the most common use cases we have in procurement processes, right? So usually in procurement processes, what you have are processes such as new vendor onboarding, a quote request, an invoice approval. So we have some of those processes already for you. So you can start with elements such as this one in order to configure and to add it into your instance, right? So I'm gonna download this one, right? I'm gonna download this quote request and I'm gonna import it in here, right? I'm gonna click in import. And he's asking me for that template I just download. Here I have it. This is the quote request. I'm just gonna open it. The options we have for import is just the basic options because we need to get all the different assets on the template, and I'm gonna click on import. This one already exists. Yes, it already exists because this instance I have it already playing with it. So look at this one. I can even update it. So we release new versions on this from time to time. So you can just update it, or you can import it as a new one, maybe because you have done some changes, so maybe you have it with another name.
Manuel, we've got a question here from the chat that's not displaying on here since we're multi-streaming to three separate platforms, so we're getting questions coming from all over. So one of the questions that they just asked was, well, what about if the process is in flight? And I think that's a question that you and I have received more than a few times. So I'm sure that you have a great answer for that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So templates are different from processes, right? So that's like the first idea in here. So requests are in the realm of the processes, not in the realm of the templates. So if we're talking about templates, you can import as many templates as you want. The process is not going to be affected because a process is created based on a template. So you take the template and create the version that you're going to use to run with your request. But at that point, the template is different from the process, so it doesn't relate one between the other. I don't know if that answered that question, but this is the answer from the templates perspective, right? So and regardless if it's from the templates or not, all processes manages a version, right? So when a token or when a request is running through a process, it's always going to be in that version. So it doesn't matter if we later update the process with a new version, that request that was running in that specific version is going to follow the logic that was built for that version. So it's not going to change. It's something that is unalterable. And new versions from new requests are going to go with the latest version of the process. So we take care a lot regarding how we divide those two concepts. Is that answered the questions? And or Ethan, do you want to add something on top of that?
Yeah, I mean it's not an easy question when you, especially when you have
Mhm.
processes in production that are in flight that you make changes to the process and you want to update them. It could be its own whole discussion. Maybe we'll make a live stream about best practices around deployment and updating environments and things like that. But it's just you have to be very conscious of the changes you're making when you're updating a live process. The biggest problem that I've seen is because when you update a process, let's say you introduce an element, a variable, something in the beginning of the process that doesn't exist later on, but there's logic that is depending or relying on that, then that will result in an error in the process. So that's why that's one of the big things that you need to look out for. Yeah, thank you, Manuel.
Cool. Great. Any other question that we might have in the chat?
No,
Thank,
I'm letting you know as they come. Don't worry.
thank you guys
Yeah.
for those questions. Definitely, definitely there are a lot of concepts on this, and we assume many of you have seen Process Maker before, right? As we mentioned, this is a technology that has years and years of development. Uh, so you can go on many of our videos, and you can go on many of our content. You're gonna find a lot of fun stuff. But let's continue on this one. So what we have seen so far from a process, from a template that is already installed, how we can create a process, right? And then based on the process, how we can create a template. Let's have a look on a second option, how we can add a new template into the template library. So we went into our process maker page, right? .com. We went into the templates tab. In the resources, we download one of these ones and we upload it. This is the quote request number 2. Remember, I have it already installed, so that's why he was asking me for a rename. I already have it in here, right? So for me, it's gonna be as simple as click again in here and say it's quote request, right? Quote request number 2. Look at this one, uses a template. Here I have quote request number 2. I'm gonna change whatever the category I have. I'm gonna click on admin user, and there I have a new process, right? There are a few elements that are important to mention in here, right? For example, these elements, right? It's important for you guys that have some of these elements already configured. For example, this is a process that requires an email configuration, right? Here we are creating a quote request and we are sending this to an email. Let's give it a try, okay? So look at this one. I have just installed um, and I create this one, this quote request number 2. There I have it. I'm going to click on this process. And these processes are ready to run, right? The idea on these ones is that you can just install it, deploy it as a new process, and they are ready for you to give it a try, right? Look at this one. Here we have a loop element where we can add a list of items. So I'm going to need some laptops. Category, the office supplies. I'm going to need 20 of them. And I'm going to need um, some chairs as well. This is furniture. I'm going to need 20 of them. And you can go on and on. You can add a supplier name that you want to request these quotes. So this is going to be for office supplies Inc. Navarro. office. Right. That was completed successfully. And let's see how it goes. I'm gonna come back here and request, and I just hear on my cell phone this. This is the email I've just received a few seconds ago, right?
If you're
This is the code
showing something
request.
other than ProcessMaker Manual, we only see the inbox.
Okay, maybe just showing one tab. 1 second. Maybe this one.
Okay,
Looks
now
better,
yeah,
right?
now we can
Yes,
see it.
here it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, this is the email we just show. We just send, right? The items we just send, and this is just a basic template. This is one of those elements that procurement has you may want to add. So
So
how
wait,
you
are
can
you saying
configure
just
this
I just want to
process
clarify
again?
for the viewers manual? Are you saying that that template from the email ships by
Yeah,
default with the template that you imported?
exactly.
Can we take a look at that one more time just to? Cause I think
Yes.
people might not have realized that because that was actually a relatively nice template that we've included with the template. A
And you
template with
have
a template.
exactly. So that's the idea that the templates is per se a template for a bigger process. A quote request is pretty much always the same. You're gonna have basic elements. As well, this is years of being working with customers doing quote requests and procurement systems, right? So which are those elements that you may want to add? Look at this one, the requester name or the title of that person. For this one, what did we use? Look at this one. We used something that we call the magic variables within ProcessMaker, right? Look at this one. So this is the features we have within the platform because we know that in a form who usually requests this is the you want to have the information about that person. So we are getting the name, we're getting the title of that person, right? And look at this one. We are using the different features of the platform, such as, for example, a loop, right? And here we have basic elements on a quote request, which is the item that you're looking for. Simplified categories, right? These categories are here just as hard-coded values in the category field. Quantity field, right? So look at this one. It's configured as an integer for you to have a look on those details, right? You can actually, on top of this one, add different elements, right? So you can say that this require minimum length, maximum length. The idea for you is to start from the not start from the scratch, start from a good basis from it, right? Look at this one, getting information from a supplier, right? Which is the supplier email, as you notice. And then in the process, let's come back in the process. Here we have an email event, right? We have this email event here and it's pre-configured. So it's easier for the developer to look at it, how I can configure an email or how I can configure one of those elements for me to send an email, right? Look at this one. Here we have the supplier email variable, right? Look at this one, the email address. This is a variable. Looks, this is the same variable that you have in here in the form, right? So it's pretty straightforward. Here you have the subject, the display screen. Look at this one. This is the screen we use to send that email, right? This is the template of that email. Open the screen, and then you can change whatever you want, right? Look at this one. Here you have the line
I think the
items.
connection isn't that great, so it's pixelating a little bit.
Okay. Sorry for that.
But we
It's
can see
getting
that
better.
you yeah we could see you had there like a form with a record list.
Exactly. So yeah, so this is another example of a template. This one uses email events. This one uses a loop, right? On it automates an email from a form. It gets information from the users and use it within the process in order to communicate correctly, right? And definitely another of those elements that are nice always to have for those who knows about the platform are those summary screens. Summary screens are important for you to have a last glimpse of what it happens with the process, right? Look at this one. Here you have a nice summary on all those different elements, the supplier names, what happens with this, if it was sent or not. So it's a pretty robust element in the sense that has many features, but very simple as and the same time, because it is just two simple tasks with a few fields, and it doesn't require that much to make it run, right? But you can expand it from this to a bigger option. So we can go for another of these processes. It's pretty simple to see the powerful of this, right? I'm gonna take another process that is way much bigger on this that might be curious all of us. This is the vendor onboarding.
That's quite a lot
I
of
have a vendor
templates you've got there, Manuel. How many templates do we have? Do you want to talk about
20.
that?
So 20. We have 20 at this moment. Look at this one.
And are you
This is a
planning
nice one.
to make more?
Yes, definitely. That's the plan. We need to go for more. Let's go for a vendor onboarding. Look at this one. This is a kind of big process that is always good to have as a reference for complex scenarios, right? Let me walk you through it. This is a manual start where a requester approves some terms and conditions to onboard a new vendor. The system sends an email to the vendor to fill out a form, so a supplier manager can review that form and accept it or either reject it for corrections to the vendor. Then a risk manager is going to have a look on that request and that new vendor request. If it's rejected, the process finishes. But if it's okay, it's going to come back to the vendor to get some information about their representative or the person in contact. So look at this one. Once you have sent your information and someone has approved you, you can add the information from the representative of your company, so you can add it into ProcessMaker as a user. So why this is useful? For example, many of our customers use our platform as well to provide their own customers of processes and services. And this is a process that allows you for your vendors to create a user within the system so they can run processes, for example, for invoice approval, for any complaint that you may have, for any communication that you may want to have with your vendor, right? So, for example, this is kind of a big process that is always it's always good to have a look on it, and we can give it a run in a few minutes, so we can open some questions on this. What do you think about this, Ethan?
Sorry, I'm just keeping myself
Looks
on
good,
mute.
right?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. So if anyone has any questions or has seen these things in action, we would love to hear from you. Which other procurement or vendor management systems have you seen, and which kind of elements we should have in our templates? Appreciate your comments and your interactions on the chat. So far, let's give it a run on the first steps of this vendor onboarding, right? So I'm going to click this one, vendor onboarding. I'm going to click start. And here I have my first task. Remember, guys, this is the approved terms and conditions. And remember, this is all configured with the same user to be used in the first run. We can go for the configuration later on, But so far, this is just to show you the powerful of the templates. And look at this one. A few elements I want to remark on this. This is a great process for having a nice UIs or nice screens for you to replicate. Look at this one. Here you have a customer journey um, layout, right? You're gonna know which is the step that you are doing right now. You're gonna have big buttons to continue and to walk your users through the process, to the process actions, right? Here you have the basic information, the company profile, right? So Veris Inc. Tentative name Manuel
While you're
Navarro.
filling this out, Manuel, we did get just another question. Is the templates feature, is that going to be part of the open source version, or is this only for paying customers?
It's only for paid customers. And yes, at this moment, it's only for paid customers.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Perfect.
Sorry if you're using the open source, but this, I guess, another reason to reach out to us to get the enterprise
Exactly.
version. Tons of awesome features.
But definitely, it will be amazing to have the feedback on the different elements that you are seeing, on which are the kind of processes that might drive any decision to go for us. It would be always good to know. Look at this one. Let's come back to the process. We just went through the terms and conditions, right? And with the terms and conditions, we should send an initial email to fill a vendor form. Look at this one. I have just received an email for Veris Inc., right? And I will need to complete the link for all the information that is requested, right? So the process is running all the time. Look at this one. This is the form that is in there, right? Ready for you to rock and roll, adding the information. And this is industry basic fields. Um, a number. You can add as many industries, years in business. Categories are always available for you to configure. Phone numbers, basic data, manufacturing address, shipping address.
Are you
Look
able
at
to
this.
populate those drop downs from an external data source, Manuel?
Yes, this is completely possible. We can have a look on it in a minute. You have options immediately to add a background, to upload documents directly. So the forms are really useful and a good basis as a and a good starting basis, right? So you can continue, submit the form, send this form by email. There are a lot of options on this. Look at this one. The next task on this is the review vendor form, right? There we have it. And I'm going to show you how we can modify this in a minute. Look at this one. A screen sim preview with the data that we have just filled, navigation through a pizza tracker, right? Information, the screens with signature elements. So the screens are really complete for a solution. You can either approve or come back, and the process continues, goes and goes and goes. How you can configure this, and this is a great question. A few elements that you may want to know. For example, this one. Um, Look at this one. These scripts are scripts that works, right? So these are the kind of things that next to a screen, you may want to understand how you can modify it, right? Look at this one. We have it in here, a flag that is called demo false, right? So if you change it from true to false, it's going to allow you to actually create the user within the application, right? It's in false because it's ready to use, right? So you can run the process and the process is going to create a new user. So it's in false because it's not in a demo stage. If you open the script, you're going to find the full script for you to play with it and definitely to modify it if required, right? So the same as the
It looks like we may have just lost Manuel. Not sure, maybe he had a power outage or something. I will ping him. But in the meantime, did not expect that. In the meantime, if anybody has any questions or anything, I'm more than happy to field them while we try and get Manuel back on the line. So yeah, so I'll just start talking meanwhile until I get a response or he's able to rejoin about some of our new features that I personally am excited about that are coming up. So one of them is we are, like I mentioned, I'll talk a little bit more about it. The ability to add Bootstrap, Vue.js Bootstrap elements to the form builder. So if you were to go to Vue Bootstrap to the website there, you would see all the different components that are available. So, you know, Bootstrap is a very popular framework that most people are familiar with. And our product, our front end, is based on Vue.js. So it kind of made sense for us to look at that for being able to really extend our form capabilities. So that's a very exciting one. And of course, with the trends coming, we are, you know, more and more we are doing AI related activities. So, you know, being able to do all sorts of things. You know, last week we talked about global search with AI. So being able to use natural language, which converts it through the GPT model. So there's a lot of exciting features that are coming out in what we call the summer release, which is the next release. I think it'll be, don't hold me to this, but I think somewhere around the August time frame, roughly. So, but we will definitely be giving you some sneak peeks and, you know, showing you. There's also a lot of features that came out in the spring release that we have yet to show you. We're all very excited to do that. So I'm going to assume that Manuel kind of lost power or some catastrophe or something, because it's extremely unlike him. He was just here 1 second, gone the next. So I sincerely apologize to our viewers. If anyone has any questions about what you've seen today or want to reach out to us, you can find me on any of the platforms that we're streaming here. LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitch. You can email me as well. You can send an email to info@processmaker.com, support@processmaker.com, whatever your needs are. Also, you can leave comments. We will see it. And Manuel might be back. No, he's not. Okay. Well, anyways, so yeah, so you can reach me also on Twitter at ETHNP, and you can also find Manuel on LinkedIn. So with that, I'm going to bring this to an end, and unfortunately, again, I apologize about Manuel's issue. We'll get that fixed for next time so it doesn't happen. And thank you for tuning in. And if you think this kind of stuff is useful, again, please feel free to subscribe or follow on whichever platform you're comfortable with. We're also going to try continuing to expand to more platforms. Basically, we want to be able to give you the content that you want where you want it. So with that, I'll say goodbye and have a great weekend wherever you are. Bye-bye.